Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Passion for Purpose Up Close and Personal podcast. And today I have my real good friend, my brother, the Right Reverend, the Pastor Darrell Shakan Thomas. So, Passion for Purpose Up Close and Personal. Let's greet Reverend Darrell C. Thomas. And Darrell, I just want you to just share with everybody, who is Darrell? Darrell Thomas.
Well, you said it, Darrell Shakan Thomas, product of Morris Brown College, and born in Atlanta, Georgia, an area called Pool Creek. For everybody that knows Atlanta knows what Pool Creek is.
No Pool Creek.
Over near Hateville and Forest Park, in that area, by the main post office. But I was born and raised right there, and I lived there all my life until really went off to college. And so, I was had 6 siblings, mom and dad, and they're everybody's still here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Mom and dad has passed, but everybody else is in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And went to George High School.
Falcons.
The only school in the state that had orange and black as a school colors.
We used to ride y'all on Halloween. We used to get on y'all all the time.
They dogged us out on Halloween. We had a couple of games on Halloween, and man, we got it bad.
Wow.
but they're just part of me. I've been in Atlanta all my life. Hadn't moved anywhere else. I like Atlanta, like the weather. Well, one of the things, it's not too cold, not too hot. We get winter in the summer, and we get summer in the winter sometimes. But I love Atlanta.
You're a Grady baby.
No, actually, I'm not a Grady baby. A lot of people don't know where this hospital is, but I was actually born in a hospital called McClendon. It's down in the same area.
Yeah, I know McClendon.
McClendon. Yeah, it wasn't Hugh Spalding, it wasn't Grady, but it was McClendon.
And you really have to know Atlanta to know about McClendon, huh?
Yeah. You have to know about Atlanta to know about McClendon. It was all down in the same area. I don't know how I ended up at McClendon. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I guess Grady. I guess y'all had it full. Grady was full, I guess.
Yeah, and I think McClendon was colored only. Where they did overflow, wasn't it? Because when African American house, I think it was owned by African American.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It may have been the case.
I have to ask Skip to check the history on that one though.
Yeah. So I'm a true Atlantan.
Yeah. Man, that's amazing. And it's so interesting. I've been so excited to get you on here because I said I started this podcast during the whole COVID pandemic thing. And it started because I felt like I had so much time on my hands. It's like, man, what am I doing now? I had all this time and couldn't really do church when we wanted to do it. Wasn't just doing too much. I said, okay, I need to do something to keep me busy. So I had to learn a whole new skill set. And I learned podcasting. I learned how to do videos and editing and all this stuff there. And I think I've gotten pretty decent with this thing. Now I've had several people on. And every time I would have somebody on, the thought that would always go through my head was, I have to get Darrell on here. I said, Darrell should have really been first. But I said, I understood your schedule and everything because of your you pastoring and you working and you got your family and everything. So I understood that. But I said, it's not going to be complete until I at least get Darrell on here. And then anybody else come on his phone. So I don't want to make everybody feel like they wasn't top notch or nothing, but you're important to me. You already know that. Anybody who know me know how important you are to me. So I've been so excited about having you come on to the podcast so people know who you are and some of the great things you've done. As a matter of fact, most people who pretty much know me also know that you're really my pastor. I don't say a lot of times people don't realize that pastors need pastors, and because we're best friends and our trust has been there for forever. I'm like, that's my pastor, whether he know it or not. And I'm pretty sure you did. That's my pastor. So if anybody want to know who I get some of my wise sage from, it's from you.
Wow. Look, as a matter of fact, you said I'm your pastor. You my pastor too, because we share some intimate things together, man.
Yeah.
You know me, so you know me better than anybody else, especially in ministry, man. It be better than anybody else. We know things about each other that nobody else would know. We're gonna take it to the grave,
That's it.
But it's just a true brotherhood, a true love for one another. As a matter of fact, many people that know both of us think we knew each other from elementary school.
Yeah.
Or even high school, but we did. You went to Carver, I went to Georgia. We met each other at Morris Brown.
Yeah.
And meet each other there. We just bonded, and then the relationship kind of grew from there. And but many people think we've been knowing each other. We grew up together, they think. But actually, at Morris Brown College, we connected, and we were inseparable from then on.
That's right. That's what Morris Brown do.
Yeah, we've been in each other's lives and good times and even in the bad times, right there with each other, you know.
And, you know,
I appreciate you too, man. I call you up. I can even curse when I need to.
Anytime, and you know, not too many people get to call me anytime, and especially know that they're gonna probably get an answer.
Right.
So, you know, it's like whenever I see your name and number come across, I'm like, oh, I'm getting this one. You know, if I'm in a meeting, hold on for a minute, let me step out, let me see what's going on. And if I have to call you back or text you back later, I'll let you know, but I'm responding because that's what brothers do for each other, because it's like now so many people take stuff for granted. And I say, you know, relationships is one of the things you should never take for granted, especially when you built it over the years. And even now, people will look at us. If I'm somewhere, one of the first things, especially if it's anybody from Morris Brown, where's Darrell? What other Darrell?
I get the same response.
My grandma still asks about my aunt. I'm like, man, you know, that's just really amazing.
Yeah, I get the same response. What other Darrell? They know we all use together.
And you know, it's so interesting about the whole process. So, you know, it's like our lives pretty much kind of parallel each other because we've done so many things together, and it's just so similar. And I said, you know, and kind of share a little bit about that, you know, being at Morris Brown, being business majors, band members, fraternity brothers, and it's like it's just so parallel. Pretty much the only difference is we're a month apart in birthdays, and we spell our names a little differently. For the exception that, and you're taller and the better looking one. So
know about that, Doc.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been together for a long time, man. You know, like I said, we mentioned Morris Brown. You know, we're both there in the band, the same, you know, in the business department, first of all. Because I think you got in the band that first year, you got there 79, and I got in the next year. I went in the band my first year. I got in that next year, and but it's going through those good times and bad times in the band, and then in the business department. Lord have mercy. And all the classes we took together was Strickland and Burnett and all them, Marstella, Sharma, all those people, man. Yeah. And I don't know about you. I may have to take a couple of classes. I think I had to take a couple of those classes over again. I don't know if you took them over again with me.
I did too. QM was the one that really just destroyed me.
Yes, QM. Man, what you talking about? Quantitative methods.
I didn't pass in the first semester. And the second time I took it, I realized I wasn't getting ready to pass it then. I dropped it. And I said, okay, third time's the charm. And third time I knocked him out the park.
Oh yeah. That's a similar story.
And he's the only one who taught him.
Yeah. But we made it out of there in 84, graduated together. And then I ended up attending ITC. I think I started before you. Actually, I started in 88. You may not know that. I started in 88, man, taking one class here, one class there. And because I was working at the bank at the same time. So I got to the point where I could take any more classes. Yes. We worked together too at the bank too. Man, we did a whole bunch of stuff together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I worked there at the bank. And so I had to take some classes during the day to finish up. And so at ITC, so I went ahead and left the bank, and I started working overnight at Bank of America. I was switched over to Bank of America, and I started working at night so I could finish those classes during the day. So I was going to school full-time during the day and working full-time at night. And then we end up graduating together in 96. So I don't know how you timed that, how you got double timed out.
Same thing. I was at the bank, and then I ran out of night and weekend classes, and I had to start taking day classes. So when I started taking the day classes, I ended up leaving the bank also. And after I left that, that's how I got into the whole sales industry. I started selling cars during the summers, because during the semester, I wasn't working during that. I was living off the money I had from the bank. And after that, I said, okay, this money is running out kind of quick. So I had saved a lot because I knew I was going to leave the bank because I knew I was running out of class and I knew I wanted to finish. So we pretty much about the same semester hours by then. And that's how we ended up started graduating together, because I started taking the class that I said, okay, I'm gonna have to hurry up and get out of here because I started making some more money. And believe it or not, selling cars paid real good money, but I just didn't really like selling cars for the most part. I love learning what I did and all this stuff, but sometimes, some of them things they tell you to tell the buyers, it just didn't always feel right. And they know they had to be honest with me, but even that, it just still didn't feel right. So I couldn't do it too long, but it was a valuable experience for me. So that was like my side tracking to that. And then after that, you went to Old National first. Yeah. So how did that end up having going to Old National?
Well, I was looking at doing a career change at that time because I was in banking, and you of course, all the politics in banking. Yeah. I remember one of the things that really got with me, and I think I may have shared this with you. I was trying to get into this management training program.
Yeah, I remember, me too.
And I tried when I applied for that, I'd gone through all the interview processes and everything, and I got to the last person who was that manager. I can't think of what his name was, but at that time I was in ministry. I started ministry. I got in ministry in '87. That's when I started ministry. And then he kept asking me questions related to ministry. Well, if we move you to another location, how would that affect ministry for you? And then he asked me other questions like, okay, he kept reverting back around to the same question about ministry. So I'm getting the impression that, he's about to break the law here by denying me a position based on my religious background. I'm thinking all this stuff in my mind, not knowing that God was, setting me up for success as opposed to being hindered by a job. Mm-hmm. And so, as you know, the time went on, and then First National Bank of Atlanta merged with Wachovia. Yeah. Wachovia moved all their main offices to North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And then, there's that train of events. So I thought to myself, you know what? God was really watching out for me, because I probably would have, if I got into the program, I probably would have had to move on to North Carolina or something else, and that would have hindered the process that God had in plan for me. So I started thanking God about that. And that's part of my little testimony that, sometimes when you think it's not going to work out, it's not for you, God is working it out for you behind the scenes. Yeah.
And that whole North Carolina move, it was funny because I tell a very similar story. I hadn't come into ministry yet, but I was like, I'm not knowing if I'm feeling going to North Carolina.
So, right.
And then after that, they end up moving all the division up from 2400 Piedmont to Piedmont and Peachtree up in that area. And then we started working up there, and they started sending out the rumors that we might be moving out to Delaware. And I'm like, I'm definitely going to Delaware. So, I had already started thinking in my head, it's time for a transition, because, by then I had actually came into ministry. That was like 4 years later, because I came in ministry in 91. Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, one of the reasons I hesitated coming to ministry, I said, Darrell already in ministry. Both of us don't need to be in ministry. One of us needs to, be on the outside and everything.
Yeah. Covering the rear.
Yeah.
Covering the rear, yeah.
I said, I might need to be the heavy for him or something. It didn't work that way, because I felt like, when that whole process goes on, I said, this is another thing we're gonna have to share again, and I'm just thinking, eventually we're gonna start doing something different, and it never really happened. It seemed like our path kept going the same route and everything, and kept doing the same thing. Even when you first came to ministry and your trial sermon, it was a great experience, because I never knew anybody personally who I knew went into ministry. I knew people who was already preaching, but I never saw the process of how it was from the beginning to the end, and it was just really a great thing to watch.
Yeah, it was an interesting process, and that's having you right there with me along the way, because I was there trying to encourage one another. I was checking each other, the families and all those kind of things. But just to have somebody there that knows the whole process, and that means a lot, So you you're dealing with hard, brother. You already know that.
Same here, because it's more challenging than people think. Because most people only see Sunday and Wednesday.
Oh man.
Personality. And I said, some of y'all saw me on Monday and Tuesday and Thursday through Saturday. Not that it's that big a difference, but I'm not always smiling. I'm not always good job. Every now and then I'm like, well, he deserved that. She shouldn't have did it. So, and it's like, hey, I do it again now. So God's still working on me. It's just stuff like that we can share with each other, the inner details. But a lot of people just don't realize that it's a struggle. People have these high expectations of us. So what are some of the high expectations you think people have of you that you think that they really knew me? They know I ain't doing that. They know I'm not like that.
Well, people think, people expect, their pastor or somebody in ministry to be perfect. They think you're never gonna have a bad day. They think you're never gonna, get mad about something. They think you're never gonna have your own challenges. You still have your own family. Your family. You still have everything that everybody else goes through. Someone in ministry goes through the exact same thing, and there's a lot of time it's escalated, or it's more than, because but you're trying to, be there for somebody else, to take care of somebody else. Yeah. They think that, no, you're a minister, you can handle it. God gave you the power to handle it. No, sometimes, people always say that, God won't put more on you than you can bear. Mm-hmm. And I kind of challenge that sometimes, because sometimes he does. Yeah. Sometimes he does put stuff more on us than we can bear, because he wants us to depend on him.
Yeah.
So if he didn't put more on us than we can bear, we'll think we got it. We think we're superhuman. We'll never have a challenge. But yeah, sometimes he does put more on us than we can bear, because he wants us to trust and depend on him. That's why the word of God says that when I am weak, he is strong. So yes, he does do that sometimes. But he does it to strengthen us.
I thought I would challenge it, but I agree with that. I disagree with God won't put more on you than he can bear, because how you will get stronger if you don't get heavier weight on you? Mm-hmm. And it's like if you lifting weights and everything, and if you lift the same weight every day over and over again, you don't know how strong you could be until you add some more plates on the bar. Right. Mm-hmm. And I joke and tell the story one time. Tisa and I had just came from church. We went to the gym and worked out and everything. And, I was kind of feeling myself, because I think the NFL was doing a combine something in. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'm in pretty good shape and everything. And the combine is 225 pounds that they have to lift. And they have to lift
He bite that challenge, did you?
Boy, I got on the bench, got up under the weight, pushed it off, and it just fell right down my chest. But Tisa and some dude I had never seen before ran to me and got it off in there. What are you trying to do? I said, well, I thought I could do 225, because I said, I'm in good shape and I felt like I was strong. But I hadn't never lifted 225. The most I've ever lifted was 205. I said, that's just only 20 more pounds. I could do that at least 2 times. But that thing got pinned on me and I've never tried it again. And that's what happens to us a lot of times when we step outside of God's comfort zone, trying to carry more burden, carry more weight than we're supposed to. God tell us, I didn't tell you to pick that up. You didn't ask me to be a spotter. So that's why you got pinned to the bench. So, that's crazy when we think about God trying to allow us the opportunity to grow. And a lot of times we want to grow too fast.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I said, the question you asked about, what the expectations and all that people have. Like I said, they expect you to be perfect, and they expect you to be the answer to all their problems sometimes. As opposed to experiencing the problem and going through it, and then God worked through the problem with them, or helping them get through the problem. Many times they feel as though, okay, they call you, you're gonna give them the answer. Yeah. But some questions I don't answer for people, because you can't. I give advice as consider this or maybe try that. But I would never tell a person to get a divorce. I'd never tell a person to even get an abortion. I have my opinions about that kind of stuff, but sometimes people want you to give them the answer. And I never do that, because they'll look back at you. Well, you told me, no, I didn't tell you that. I know I didn't tell you that, but that's not even part of my vocabulary. Yeah. So I give them advice and say, then you consult God and you make the best decision that's best for you. And I know some people may feel as though I'm being hypocritical, or I'm not, doing what God said do. But no, God gave us free will to make choices, and people have to make their own choices and be okay with whatever choices that they make.
And see, I'm glad you said that, because I can't wait for some people who know me to hear you say that, because people get on me the same thing. They say, well, you never really answered my question. I said, I answered your question by giving you the ball and making you shoot it. I said, I'm not gonna make the decision for you, and I gave you all the advice you needed. I did a video one time about should Christians drink alcohol? No, I said, is it a sin for Christians to drink alcohol? And she said, you gave a 15-minute video and didn't answer nobody's question. You didn't even answer your own question when you asked it. I said, no, I just wanted to say, I said, when you go to school, they teach you how to research and how to debate and how to show both sides of the coin and let other people make the decision. And I love not having to make a decision for people, because I don't even like making decisions for myself sometimes.
Yeah. People don't want to do that. They don't want to make their own decision, because they don't want to be held accountable for their own decisions. They want somebody else to make it for them, and then so they can always shift the blame back on you or someone else. Well, you told me such. No, I didn't tell you that. No, I didn't tell you that. No, you didn't make a decision for yourself. And like I said, be okay with it. I know you've done it and I've done it. I made plenty of mistakes along the way, but I think all those mistakes are stepping stones to get you to the next place. And so I thank God that He allowed me to make some of those mistakes. He allowed me to make some bad decisions. Some of them were, I thought was right, and then some of them I just knew were wrong. I just said I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do it.
He's did that too. Yeah, yeah.
So I don't try to put it all on God. Sometimes, you just do it because it feel good, or you do it because you want to do it. No, that's the bottom line.
I'm so glad to hear you say that, because my thing is, I'll say, well, over 2,000 years ago, that was a sin that Jesus died for also. Mm-hmm. That one that I'm getting ready to commit. The one that I committed a few minutes ago, the one I committed yesterday. Because people think that we don't do things wrong, and when we do, we have a get out of jail free card in our back pocket, and it just don't work that way. We have to pray and ask for forgiveness, apologize, and say, I was wrong. I shouldn't have did that. But and I think a lot of times people don't realize that God knows what we're gonna do, and when we try not to do what we're gonna do, God keep on allowing the opportunity to come up so we can get past it and gone through it, because we're afraid to trust God's grace.
Right.
That's the reason a lot of us don't live successful lives, because we're afraid of mistakes, so we stay in a box instead of going outside of that box and say, you know what, I knew I shouldn't have went outside the box, I knew it was wrong, but I had to go through scenario. So I had to do that in order to get to the other side of this coin and see what God had for me on the other side of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the word, and it says, "My grace is sufficient."
Yeah,
we're
scared, so we really don't believe it, so we're scared to live life because we're afraid. Well, God ain't gonna forgive this one, because I said a long time ago I would never do this again. I swore on my mama's grave I wasn't gonna do it, and now I'm doing it again, Lord. So people don't trust the grace of God, and I think we have to really communicate that more effectively. There's nothing that God can't control, and there's nothing God can't forgive. So.
Yeah, and I tell people that all the time too. That's what keeps a lot of people, outside of the will of God, because they think that they've done something too bad, or they've done something that God never forgive them for. And no, He will. Obviously, He'll forgive you for each and everything that you do, except for blasphemy against the Holy Spirit. And that's not something that you can just stumble up on and do. No, that's something that you just willfully, blatantly do. And so He will forgive for everybody. Shoot, as things I've said and things I've done, I say, my God, hey, God, you saved a wretch like me?
You think you've outgrown certain things, and you really hadn't.
Right.
It's like, man, I can't believe this is still something I consider, and this is something I still do. And one thing I'm glad about, how we always like to talk about God knows so much. He knows the number of hairs on our body, on our head, and all that stuff. I said, God knows the exact number of sins we would commit in our life.
Right.
And some of us ain't even halfway there yet. I know I'm not. So, we think about that, because we don't know how many sins we have in our life, and we don't know how many days we have. We try to guess it and all that kind of stuff, but we really don't know. And the fact, knowing that God knows, I said, well, God, you knew that one. Thank God for your grace. And, I repent of it, and let me get up and try not to do it again. But just trusting God to know God enough to know that God can forgive all that. And I love the fact, again, not giving people the answer all the time. People need to figure out things on their own, and people have the same capabilities of doing it. But too many of us love to get an answer. And we love, if I were you, I would, and I ain't nowhere in the world, I would have took that. I would have left a long time ago, and I'd go back right now, and no, you would.
Yeah. No, many times they're going through more than that person is themselves. They say, what I would never do. Yeah, you won't do it. You won't do that, but you're doing something that's not, beneficial to you. So when people talk about, relationship and all that kind of stuff with God, it's amazing that we put God in the category of a human, of a person, because the Bible says that He will remember your sins no more. As humans, we can't fathom that, because we got that ability to remember, and we're going to remember. And we'll hold it over people's head a lot of times, or if we don't hold it over the head, we still have the capability to remember it. But God says, I will remember your sins no more. That means He don't remember it.
Yeah.
But we can't fathom that as a human being. Either He'll throw up your sins as far as the east is from the west, never again to bring it up again. So we put God in the category as a man, just like we are. But He's so much greater, so much more powerful, so much more, has so much more wisdom than we do. And we just have to trust that.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about that, the fact that both of us went to ITC and they taught us to theologically consider some of the stuff that we held true to the absolute. And then as we get older and we mature more in the grace and knowledge of God, we find out that some of the stuff ain't true. So when we talk about God not remembering stuff like that, that made me think about a lot of stuff in the Bible when they think God is forgetful. No, God ain't forgetful. I said, that's just a metaphor for that's not important to God no more. God done got rid of it and everything. I said, he can call it back if he wants to, because he know where it's at. But he just letting us know that it's not important anymore. So when I think about that, I said, forgiveness, that's one of the things that is a requirement for those of us who ascribe to the Christianity faith. And I said, that's one thing that I felt like I got my best degree. I graduated summa cum laude with a degree in forgiveness. I said, I know not forgiving somebody would keep me out of the promises and the will of God. I'm not doing that. So I learned how to forgive. I said, it's easier for me to forgive than it is to not sin. So I said, I don't control the sin. I can't control the sin, but I can control me forgiving. And I said, there's nobody could ever say that they've done something to me and I didn't forgive them. You don't even have to ask me for forgiveness. I'm going to forgive you because I know that's something that I have to do. That's something I can do.
That's not a choice. No, that's a command. You know, like if you don't forgive me, I won't forgive you. Bottom line, that's it for me. You know, I'm forgiving you. I don't care if you like it or not. You may not accept it, but you are forgiven.
You don't have to believe it. You don't even have to believe it.
Right.
You know, I said, it's done. Once I forgive it, it's done. You know, ain't nothing gonna come up again. I ain't gonna bring it up again. I might not have the seal of forgetfulness to cast it in, but it's gone somewhere. You know, I'm not remembering it anymore.
Yeah, and I think you know, the experience that we had at ITC, it was a very rewarding experience because I tell people that when I went to ITC, I could have either come out an atheist or it'll help you deepen your faith. And for me, it helped me deepen my faith because we got a lot of things thrown at us. We got a lot of things that we experienced, but it was to make us think outside the box and open your eyes up to see that it's more than just a tunnel vision that you have. One of my first classes over there, I forgot who the professor was, but he had his Bible in his hand. He went and flipped it over in the trash can.
I know the professor.
Like, oh my God.
Class. I know the professor and the class because he did it in my class too. Dr. John Diamond, philosophy theology.
That's right. He flipped that Bible over in the trash can. I was like, oh my God, what have I paid for? you ain't at Bible college. You're at seminary, and there's a big difference between Bible college and seminary. Man, what you talking about? And I was like, okay. So when I went through the class, and then I began to understand, his thinking or his reasoning for doing that, to let us know that, this is the word of God. Yeah. But some folk just use it for their own benefit. But I learned a lot from ITC, but then all the exposure and experiences of other people, and their beliefs, and of where they got their training and their beliefs from. So it was a very rewarding experience. I encourage anybody who's considering ministry or who is in ministry to, enhance your education. I know the Bible will give it to you. I know God interprets things for you and all those kind of things, but just to have another experience and to open up your mind, I think it is good to be able to have some more education.
Between you and Pastor A.J. McMichael, I agree. I said, there's no way I would not recommend strongly. I'll pretty much almost, if you're a new pastor, if you're a new person getting called into ministry and you're desiring to be on worship with us, I'm not requiring it, but I'm strongly recommending it. You have to go there, and I prefer you to go to ITC, but if you go somewhere else, as long as you go to seminary, because the experience you get there and what you learn there, it helps you realize that so many people in our faith have been imprisoned by those who are supposedly called to lead them. But what they do, they turn around and enslave them off of certain parts of the gospel. I wouldn't say of the gospel, certain parts of what they believe about the Bible. And it's unfortunate, but you could tell a person who's gone to seminary, and not saying that they're better, but they're different than those who have. Yeah, I firmly agree. I told somebody that on Monday at a meeting with someone, and I told them the exact same thing, that it's not required for you to be a minister, but I strongly encourage it. Same thing you just said. I strongly encourage you to get some more education. Especially in today's time. There's so much stuff going on today. You would think that
we've gotten past all this stuff and all the laws that are being passed and all the freedoms that people believe that they have. It's almost like the word of God is of none effect. It's been pushed back like it doesn't matter. I'm spiritual. I'm not a Christian, but I'm spiritual. So what are you saying? So we have to be able to answer those type of questions, or address those questions, not answer, but address those questions to make a person know that Jesus Christ is the answer. You may be spiritual, but Jesus Christ is the answer. If you don't believe that Jesus Christ is the answer, you probably won't be making it to your eternal home.
Well, they'll make it to the eternal home. It just won't be the one they thought it was.
Won't be the one they thought it was going to be. That's right. So we have to be equipped to address those questions, and think about it, address them intelligently.
And that's what they're teaching.
And that's what many of our young people are missing. They think that we're old, and this is an old gospel. And it's not relevant to them today. And so we're missing a lot of those because they're hearing all this new wave stuff and this other stuff that's throwing them off. And so we have to be innovative enough to still attract our young people, because if not, the church is gonna be suffering for the work that needs to be done. God can get it done, but it's gonna be suffering. That's why a lot of the doors of churches are closing, and some are not, as stable as they used to be, because many people are believing something other than the true and living God. And so we got to be careful about that. And then all the get-ups and all the different games people play in church, doing things just to make, some of the music we hear nowadays, you can't distinguish it between, the work of gospel music or spiritual or religious music than worldly music. They tie in so much. You might hear God in it, but then again, you may not.
They call that pronoun gospel. He, she, and me, and they, and I'm not sure if that's gospel or if that's the acronym for one of our communities that lives around in our society. I don't know who they're talking about sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes you think that it's a slow drag song, and then you hear just enough of the thing. Oh, that's supposed to be gospel. And it just kind of trip you out with that. But this whole process of learning, people want to be spiritual, they want to consider themselves woke and all these other things. My question, just like yours, is, so what does being spiritual mean to you? To help me understand that, maybe I have it wrong. Show me how to be spiritual, and then I can show you what it means to be Christian, and then you can decide, and I can decide. I already know my decision, but at least show the option. And a lot of times people don't want to hear the other option, and they say spiritual because they think that will run us away, because it runs away most church, because most church people are not considered apologetic. And I learned that in seminary about apologetics and everything. I said, well, that was one of the best classes to ever take, learning how to defend your faith. A lot of people say, well, I don't argue about religion. I will. I'll argue all day long, because we talking about my faith, and my faith is important to me. Who wouldn't argue about something that's important? Now, I'm not gonna get mad at you about it, but I will argue my faith, because it's really defending. And that's one thing I loved about Dr. Ellenson in church history. He taught you how to defend your opinion, because I got a lot of red marks on one of my debates one time in his class, and I had to do it over. I said, okay, I'm gonna learn this debate principle on how to defend my faith.
Yeah, I remember that debate class, man. We had to go in there and defend. And matter of fact, he don't give you, he didn't give, I don't know if he did everybody the same way, but he didn't give me my position. He gave me the opposite position. I had to defend the opposite position. I'm like, hold on now. I don't even believe this. But I still, yes. Yeah. But I still had to defend it. And I remember, in his class, you go in there, he got a whole board of notes written on the board, and then you write all those notes down. You got to go over to the next room. Write the rest of those notes down off the board. So that was a very good class also. Because he will make you debate what you say you believe, or defend what you say you believe. So that was a really good class also.
And it would be nice if everybody could have that type of learning. I know public education don't like having religion courses in public schools because of the diversity of public schools, but I think private schools should teach seminary classes to the seniors before they graduate. They should be able to take a seminary exam, being able to defend whatever private school they go to, especially if it's a Christian private school. They should have seminary professors come in and teach some of those courses for their seniors so they can go off and defend their faith, especially if they decide they want to go to college. Because when you go to college, your faith will be tested. And you will have to defend it. And it was so interesting, when we was all at Morris Brown, before either one of us thought of coming into ministry, we were all Christians, but didn't even know it for the most part, because it's not like you wear your Christianity on your chest on, say, in the band practice, on the band trips and things like that, when we in fraternity meetings, you know. But as we got out, we realized all of us had Christian upbringing in our lives. And we went back to it, like they say, train up a child in the way he should go. He made the part, she made the part, but they would come back to it. Mm-hmm. And now you look at all the preachers that have come out of our class alone and out of Morris Brown. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you mentioned about education. When that's another path we can cross. Because I taught on the college level at the junior college, Georgia Military College. I did that for almost 20 years. And I know you did the same thing, taught on the college level also. And it is so amazing what our young people believe, man. I remember I taught, the courses I taught an Old Testament class, a New Testament class, religion in America class, and also war religion.
Yeah, those are the exact same class.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the exact same class.
Wow.
And all the difference is I taught the book of Acts by itself also. But New Testament, Old Testament, world religion, taught all the same class.
Right. And just teaching those classes, man, what I had them to do is one of the projects I had them to do, and I think it war religion in that class, I made them go to another faith. Like if they were Christian, I made them had them to go to a Muslim church or synagogue. I had them go to the Jewish synagogue. Had them go to another worship experience, and they had to write upon that experience and come back and present to the class that different experience. I think somebody went to a Buddhist synagogue, so that was opening their eyes a little bit more, because some thought that what they believed was true and accurate. And of course, I believe in Jesus Christ, but some of the things they came back with and some of the experiences they had opened their eyes so much. Yeah. They got some of the same beliefs that we have. I say, they pretty much do, but their hierarchy, their God is just someone different that they worship and they experience, but their eyes were open, and we got to have those kind of experiences in order to broaden our faith base.
And that's the thing. In our churches, we don't really do a lot of teaching. Well, I ain't gonna say we don't do a lot of teaching. The teaching experience needs to be more enhanced, because that's one of the things I love about your ministry also. Your people are learning and they're celebrating. I don't have no problem with celebrating, hooping and hollering and all that. I like doing it too, but that's cake and ice cream to me. If I just eat cake and ice cream every day and don't get no food, I'm gonna have diabetes, I'm gonna be sick, I ain't gonna be healthy. I'm gonna need some meat, some vegetables, and some bread, and then and a beverage, and then give me some dessert. That's how I see the whole thing. And so many people, they can't defend their faith because they don't know, and the only thing they get is in that 2-hour experience on Sunday morning. Because they ain't gonna come out to Wednesday Bible study, not all of them anyway, and they ain't gonna study on their own as deeply as they should, because they just don't. So that's the reason it's so easy for them to become spiritual and fall into other different faith beliefs and everything. And I say often, I respect all the faith practices. I just don't agree with them.
Right.
And I don't have no problem. And I don't say just because I don't agree with it, not saying I'm saying you're wrong. I just don't agree with it. It's wrong for me.
Right.
And what I believe. And if we could agree with that, so, I have no problem with that. I said, you could teach me your stuff. I will learn it. I'll respect it, but I'm not going to ascribe to it as my faith practice. It's just something I know about. And it's something that I think we need to start sharing with people.
Yeah, I remember one of the classes I also had, it was talking about how people go over and do their witnessing over in foreign countries and evangelizing. I think it was the evangelism class, if I'm not mistaken. But they said they went over and said one of the biggest things that people do when they go over to someone else to witness to them is just try to make them just do away with their whole faith. And you go to some of the African cultures, and they have faith, but they go over and say, no, just forget what you've learned, forget all that, and you accept Christianity as your faith. You can't make a person just do away with everything they've learned. That's what sustained them. They made it through all these years, all these centuries based on the faith that they have. And then for somebody to go over to to a foreign country and to go over to say they're going to present Jesus Christ to them, you can't make them forget everything they've learned. You got to go in and go step by step, piece by piece, showing the difference and showing what the right way or the true and living God, who he really is.
And that's so important. That was a TV show. We looked at it one time. It was like one of those, it was some sitcom. But anyway, they had this whole thing about evangelism on it. And it was this high school, they was evangelizing or something like that. And one of the guys went up to the other guy, got in the headlock, and said, say you believe in Jesus, say you believe in Jesus. And we talk about that all the time. And that's how some people are, you just can't make people believe in Jesus like that. You make them believe in Jesus by making them want to live a life like the life that you're presenting before them. If you live in a life and people are like, man, how is it that you are able to do this? And you start showing them based off your lifestyle, that's what makes disciples. It's not all this forcing them and telling them they go burn in a fiery hell and all this stuff there. They can't even imagine that for the most part. But if they see you got a life and they want to imitate your life, that's how you end up teaching them the gospel of Jesus. And that's how they end up learning it. And that's the thing I think we don't do as often as we could as well. A lot of times, you and I, we both talk to different type people. And sometimes we might say, we even ask ourselves the question, what in the hell are they talking about? Stuff like that. And it's funny because it's not that we don't understand it, but how did you come to believe that is what gets me.
Right. And it's based on some of the things they've, somebody told them, as opposed to them trying to find out for themselves. They based on what somebody told them. All the little cliches we use in church. Earth has no sorrow, that heaven cannot heal. Show me that in the Bible. They can't show you that in the Bible. You take one step, God will take two. If he does that, he'll be so far in front of me that I won't be able to even catch up with him. So all these little cliches stuff we say in church that we believe that's in the Bible is what somebody said, and it's not what is actually in there. So if people would look at the word and believe it for themselves and try to find it for themselves. Everything now is at the click of a button. You don't even have to read the Bible cover to cover. If you got a question about something, click, boom, Google, and there it is. I'm not saying everything in there is right, but you got all of it right there at your disposal that you can read down through 4, 5, 6 of those entries and let the Spirit of God, let reveal to you which one is more accurate. So it's all at the click of a button now. But people still don't want to do that. They want to hear the preacher man. The preacher man gonna tell me what's right, and the preacher man could have his own opinion about stuff and be leading us straight down the wrong path.
Since you said that, I'm gonna give a sneak preview. Tisa and I, at the beginning of the year, will be releasing a new book. This is the first one we've done together. And what it is it's a book of 365 Bible verses. And what we've done, a lot of people, like you said, I'm the head and I'm the tail, and we got all these quips, but we don't know the Bible verse that go with it. So we got all these phrases and we put extra Bible verses with it, because it started off with Bishop Secular, used to be on the Lamb Adams show a long time ago. And he used to always say, that ain't Bible. And they had these little quick phrases and they would misquote the scripture, pile up and Medea the scripture and stuff like that. So we started writing down all these different Bible verses and some things that people say and say, let's see where that come from. And then we'll go to the Bible and see what they meant. And so we got a whole book that we're finishing up right now on that whole subject.
Wow.
So it'll be a 365-day, like a book. Every day has a different Bible verse with what people say and what the scripture actually really is. And it's interesting that this person I actually mentioned it to anybody outside of me and Tisa, and she might get mad at me for but it's called pre-sale, so I'm pre-selling it right now.
I hear you. That's the way to do it. Woo-hoo. And I help you get it out into the public.
It's just so amazing that we have a lot of work to do as people. And as I was talking, one other thing I want to talk about that we've done too. We both coach on the same Little League team because our sons are around the same age. So we started off coaching T-ball together, and we went up through the park system and met all these different people at the park on different teams, and all of us around the same age having boys playing baseball together and stuff like that.
Wow.
That's another amazing track that God has allowed us to travel together and everything. It's just really interesting knowing that here it is. As a matter of fact, that's how they had a lot to do with me coming to Old National Christian Academy. We said that because I think what's his name, the principal over there,
Mr. Barber,
David Barber, that's right. You had told him about me, and they wanted to do something with PE and in teams, sports teams and stuff like that. And that's how I ended up getting into Old National Christian Academy and teaching and all that stuff, which was really a great experience for me. But it allowed me to meet so many different people. And again, that they were, if one of us around, they want to know where the other one was, you know, and just a whole interesting process.
It's amazing how even with that school, it was small, kind of a small school, but man, the relationships that were formed over there, they are still friends. They're still making contact with one another. You know, you still it's still a connect. It was just like a family. You know, you still have that same connect. Because a lot of people, I may see somebody and say, "You Mr. Tom, you taught at Old National." I say, "Yeah," and you don't remember them, but they remember you.
Yeah.
And so when that school closed, it was a sad day when that school closed.
And I still get sad about that. The whole promise that school had, and all the people that come through that school and some of the great things they're doing. I had a picture of you and I'm not sure what we were, but we had took a picture together. And Jessica, she was in your class, she saw the picture and she just fell in love with it. She said, "Wow, these are my 2 7th grade teachers," and stuff like that. We're so excited about that and everything. And just seeing like her and Kirsten and some of the other people I run into and see, I was out at Home Depot, I think Lowe's or somewhere, and ran into Tiffany McClinton. And we had on masks and recognized each other, and you know, right there, talked to her about her parents and everything. So you're right; it's just a close-knit group and a close-knit family that really did a lot of good for the community.
Yeah, that's why even my ministry started. You know, because I was teaching at the time, and that was our first location when we started in 1997. We were right there in the Old National Christian Academy auditorium. That's where we started from. And when the school closed, you know, we went to another location, but that's exactly where we started from. So I got a whole lot of memories there.
So one thing I wanted to share too, since you went to talking about how your ministry started, that was one thing I did want to talk about. Share with people what it's like to start a new church plant from the ground. Because a lot of people think it's just really easy. And, you know, a lot of us, we thought it was easy when we came out. We would come out of these nice churches that had boards in places, organizations in places.
Had money.
And, you know, had already owned a lot of stuff, and they were on autopilot for the most part. But what was it like starting from the seed?
Well, no, with ministries, if you go into if a person that's in ministry go into an already established church, especially talking about being pastor or whatever, if you go into an already established church, or if you're starting from scratch, both have their challenges. Yeah. Because you know, if you already go into a church that's already established, some folks just not gonna like you because you were not their choice of being the pastor. They wanted, you know, cousin Bobo to be the pastor or somebody else to be the pastor, and so you're gonna go in with challenges. You know, some of the systems that are set up. You know, maybe the deacons that's running the church as opposed to the pastor being the lead. So you go in a lot of times with your hands already tied if you're going into an already established church. But I believe it was all in the will of God for me to start from scratch, because I had in my mind or in my spirit what I believe that God wanted me to do, and for my church to be different, and the direction He wanted me to go in. So it was better for me to go ahead and start from scratch, because God had given me the vision for Little Fellowship. And so even with the name, I came up through the Baptist church, but when God had laid upon me to start a ministry, I was trying to think of a name, and I thought about love, because I know it had to be all surrounded around love. And then fellowship. I thought fellowship because I like interacting with people. I'm a hands-on kind of pastor. Not that I give you a task to do and I'm gonna hover over you to do it, but no, whatever your task is, I've assigned you to do or you agreed to do, I'm gonna get in there and work with you to help you do it. And so I love the fellowship. Every time we get together at our church, somebody gonna fire up a grill or something, so the fellowship part came about. And then as far as Christian, we are Christian. So I wanted to make sure Christian was in the name. And then we are a church. So that's how the name Love Fellowship Christian Church came about. Okay. I remember somebody asked me, you gonna be a Baptist? You gonna be Baptist church? I said, well, no, I'm not gonna be Baptist. We're just gonna be a Christian church. Why you not gonna be Baptist? You were born in the Baptist church. I said, it's still a church. It's just that Baptist gonna be in the name. Because I don't want that stigma or that tradition, to be in the church where we got to do the hymns, or we have to, walk around the church about a hymn and they get ready to pray. I didn't want all those, traditions that people have in their mind about a Baptist church. So I'm not saying nothing wrong with a Baptist or Methodist or nothing else, but for my vision, God just gave me Love Fellowship Christian Church. And so we started out with nothing. I started off at Old National Christian Academy. I told them, okay, I'll give you this amount of money for rent. If I can't make it, I make sure I make it up to you. So there were times we were paying by the week, and we didn't have it all to pay by the week. But they worked with us and allowed us to remain there until we started getting a little money built up. And one of the things we did that was very instrumental, we sent information out to our family, all of our family, and said, this is what we're doing. We gave them the vision. This is a startup ministry, and if you can support us in ministry, we really would appreciate it. And one of Sharon's aunts from New York, she got one of the letters, and she gave it to a few friends of hers, and somebody that we had never known, didn't know anything about, sent us $1,000 seed money. Mm-hmm. Man, that $1,000 was just like $20,000. At the time, we didn't have anything. Just trying to struggle to pay, the little rent that they told us to pay. But we contacted that lady and told her how grateful we were and how thankful we were. And she was just like she had already knew us, but just took the chance on us, and we began to move forward from there. One thing I do want to caution people who maybe think about starting ministry is don't try to do everything at the same time. Yeah. Just do one thing well or two things well. But we tried to do everything starting out. We tried to have the youth ministry. We tried to do Sunday school, Bible study, youth ministry. We tried to do missionary work. We tried to do all this stuff, and the same 4 or 5 people getting burnt out. Yeah. So I reel everything back in, scale everything back, and we just had church and Sunday school and Bible study. That was it. Then once we got more members and they wanted to do maybe singles ministry or whatever, I said, okay, give me your idea for a singles ministry, and are you willing to start it? Because it wasn't going to be something that I was going to take on again. Give me your idea, and then tell me how you're going to implement it. And so we start adding on a little bit at a time, doing that way. And then once that school closed, we moved to another place where we rented. And then after that place for renting for about 6 years, we found a building to purchase. We ended up purchasing that, and that's how, in a nutshell, kind of how we got started. But it was very hard work. I'm not gonna say it's not. It was very hard work, but it's rewarding, because when you have in your mind that, okay, I'm gonna preach to these people, and in 2 years I'm gonna have 1,000 members, in 4 years I'm gonna have 5,000 members. That's just a fantasy in your mind a lot of times.
Malarkey.
But it is, because the Bible says no, God will add to your number, as He sees fit. And so I had to get out of my mind numbers, and just preach to that 1 or 2, just like it was 5,000, because those 2 souls are just important as the 5.
And that's the way it really works. A lot of times especially if you come from a a fairly decent church. I won't say fairly decent church, but a church that's been around for a while. Mm-hmm. So you pretty much know what you've seen already, and you know right. what you want and what you don't want based off what you've already seen. And when I first started, I thinking, I said, man, my Sunday school class was bigger than my church. Still today, I've had Sunday school classes and Bible study classes bigger than my church. But I think the thing that's interesting is when you come out, you have all these ideas, like you said, and you want to do certain things. And next thing you know, it's like, man, was I right about this? But it's hard when you think about either if you go into an established church, you pretty much gonna have to kind of break it down and rebuild it. And I felt like that was a process I didn't want. I said, I'd rather just start and build as opposed to break down and then build. You know, like how people be flipping houses and stuff. Now, just let me go and buy a brand new house, you know, new construction or something, you know, let's build this thing. So that's the whole process with it. And a lot of people don't realize how people try to take advantages of churches. You know, there are people who own a lot of building space and know that they ain't getting no money for it. Right. But they want to charge you a whole lot because you're a church. Right. And then you'll be able to pay them all this money. And there have been a lot of people that just had to almost saying some unkind words about buildings and stuff, you know, when I meet them. And it's funny because I've had conversations with some people that even Tisa don't know that I had conversations with when it came to about building, the ministry, trying to do things when I felt like they were trying to hustle me because they think I'm a dumb pastor, the church don't know no better and we could take advantage of them. And, you know, it's frustrating. So they don't realize all the behind the scenes stuff that go on in the churches. Boys, how people always want to charge us extra for the same product that they'll sell to somebody that's not a church and all this stuff here. Banks want to give you higher interest rates on the same loan that they're giving other people. And it's just really a hard process. So we have to go through a lot of stuff like that and still smile and be loving and caring and doing all those things.
Another thing about, you know, the African American church that's different from other races. We have to do a lot with a little most times. And I think it may be because so many churches have played that game with money, you know, make tithing a joke, you know, okay, everybody stand up in the $100 line and the $500 line, all this kind of stuff. And they've abused the worship of giving, and giving is a part of the worship experience. They abuse the worship experience of giving so much that people just don't want to give. And you know, a lot of African American churches, they will have less money flowing in because people don't want to tithe or don't tithe. And you look at other denominations, other races, in a Caucasian church maybe, they may start off from scratch like you and I did, start off from scratch with a full-time pastor, a full-time assistant pastor, a campus ministry pastor, a youth pastor, full paid position. They start off that way because they understand a different type of giving. That's what they have been trained to do. But in our church, you know, we start off no salary at all. You know, we doing it out of the love of our heart. Yeah. Starting from scratch, not getting a dime for anything. And then sometimes when it's time for you to say, okay, now it's time to start giving, you know, the pastor a little stipend. I'm like, what? You working though? You got a full-time job? Yeah, I got a full-time job, but still, it's just what you need to be doing is you should be giving, you know, the man of God, you know, or the woman of God, something for their services, and that's biblical. You know, a lot of times when some churches starting out, I've known pastors that, you know, when they talk about giving the pastor something, and they work when they're working on another job, they be like, hold on now, that's money that we could be using for such that. Yeah, first of all, you need to be taking care of, you know, your shepherd, you know, and you know, me and you, we're not that type that, you know, gimme. We're not like that at all, but it's just the right thing to do. And so I thank God that, you know, with starting a ministry on your own, you can start off with that type of understanding from the beginning. And I thank God that, you know, both of us know Rick started with that concept in mind. Let people know when we first come on, you know, at some point in time, this is the order, how it should go. And then, you know, people have it already in their minds to do so. You taught me that, and that's it. So when I actually started,
one of the first things I did was start my salary when we started. I said, y'all might not be able to meet this every Sunday, but this is my salary, and this is what I expect. And I said, I will forgive it. And, me being in business and taxes, I'll write it off at the end of the year if you ain't paying me. But you're going to get used to paying a salary every week. So as the church grows, it won't be no arguments about this is a salary for this person, this is a salary for the musician, this is salary. Because if you teach them early if you bring the budget in for this is how much it be, now we might not have the money, but this is the budget. We might not meet the budget, so you call that the end of the year net loss. So you start teaching them stuff like that and everything. Then they start seeing the picture when they start giving as they start growing, especially for other ministries and things like that. People need to know, because we don't have as much disposable income like some of the other communities do, like you named. So our money is important to us. If we giving, it needs to mean something to us. So, you teach them the right way early. And when I think about that and some of the things that you come across as starting a church, there are some communities, and I wish it was like that in the African American community, a church will sponsor you for like 3 years to get you on your feet. And then after that, you get on your feet, then you start paying mama back. It's almost like when you grow up in the household. Your parents take care of you. When you get adult, you got to start giving back to the household when the parents get older, because now they ain't making as much money they used to make. And the same with the churches. If a good church take care of a new church, when that church starts thriving, now that church members don't got old, you're supposed to help them back out again. It's all biblical. And we just miss that because we have poor money managers and we have poor budget makers in a lot of our churches.
Yeah, in church, people don't want to say it because they always say that no, church is not an organization, it's an organism, it's a living. Yeah, it is, but church is business. Church is a business, and you're running a business that has to stay afloat. A lot of times with a minimal amount of money. So you have to budget. You have to make sure that you are not. And what if you had the money budgeted for? Use it for that. Just because something else over here is not going, you can't go snatch it from another part of the budget to pay that. It is a business. And so when people understand it as being a business, they will know, okay, we still got to do this the right way, do this way, because right now there's a separation of church and state, but look how things are changing. Yeah, I'm not being prophetic. I'm not saying I'm no prophet, but the government is already sticking its nose and its head into the church. That's why I don't like to get any grant money, anything from the government, because when you do that, part of your entity is going to be responsible and going to be held accountable by the government. And if you use 1 cent of that money the wrong way, they can come in and there's a whole another big thing. So I try my best not to even consider. I did it one time because of a project we were looking at trying to do, but I said, nah, we backed away from it, because once the government get in there, there's no more separation. Yeah. They're in that end.
And see, that's the thing too that people have to realize, and that's the reason people have issues with the 501c3s and churches and things like that. And I agree, it's not for most people. Right. But if you know how to do what they want to do, you could do that and still be who you are. The thing is, a lot of people don't follow the instructions all the way like they should. And my thing about me working with Department of Revenue, I learned so much about what they require from nonprofits and churches and stuff like that. And if I'm gonna do anything, I'm gonna do this. But if I'm not gonna do it, because they have this thing like there's certain things you can't say when you have a 501c3.
Right, exactly.
You can't endorse a political candidate from the pulpit and stuff like that. Right. And I said, that's true. I can't stand in that pulpit and tell y'all who I'm voting for. Now, I can't stand in the pulpit and tell y'all who to vote for. But I can stand in the pulpit and tell you, this is my friend right here. This friend, this person, I'm not telling you who to vote for, but my best friend running for mayor. I don't have to tell you that I'm voting for him. I just let you know my best friend running for mayor.
Yeah, so everybody, so like you said, if anybody decides to do that, just make sure they keep it separate and make sure they have somebody responsible enough to be able to run that nonprofit or whatever.
There has to be a position for somebody, exactly. And see,
there has to be a position for somebody. I know, we incorporated also. We first started out, and I know you did also, but it's always good to be incorporated, because if someone comes in, God forbid, and gets injured, or when they under the Holy Spirit, and they fall and bump their head on the pulpit, they can't sue me personally, They try to go against the church, and they try to sue the church, but they can't sue me personally from my own personal standpoint. So it's always good to incorporate, to make sure that you're covered, under certain guidelines, and you're insured and all those kind of things, because people have game. People have game, and when it comes to churches, they think it's free game. They can get, come in and get anything they want. I'm going through a bad time. Gimme. And a lot of times, we try to make sure we take care of those, especially within the body. But then again, we try our very best to take care of those that may be in need. That's not even part of our particular ministry. And we do it with modification. We do it with, we scrutinize, and we look into. So we believe that, okay, if you're asking me for certain funds, especially if you're not a part of the body, be expected to be asking questions. Okay, why? How did you get in this situation? Because it's not going to be an ongoing thing. And then we don't give the money directly to them. If it's something they need to go for the light bill or whatever, Georgia Power, we'll send it to Georgia Power for them. If there's a hotel need, we'll pay the hotel as opposed to just giving them the funds, because we don't know. You really don't know what a person's going to do. And even if you do know, them, see if it's the appropriate way to do it, pay it to the place where it needs to go.
I agree with that. And, a lot of people think, the church trying to get all in my business. You get in my business.
Right.
You want money. You asking me, when you ask,
right.
You, like you said, I have the right to ask you back. And that's something that a lot of people just don't understand about church, what I call it, polity. You have to have liability insurance, because like you said, somebody come in there and get slain in the spirit and fall and hit their head, they're going to try to sue, even though they might not have intentions of suing. When they tell their cousin what happened, you can get paid for that. You was in the church too? Yeah. That church got all that money. So get you some liability insurance and get some insurance on your pastor, because we can get sued professionally also off advice. That's the reason, like you said, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to give you some examples of what others have done, and I'm going to advise you some stuff. I'm going to let you make your own decision. And I like giving at least 3 references, so you can have an odd number of references, so you could choose out of those 3 and then say, I misled the witness. So, it's like all this stuff that you have to know about doing in churches and stuff. Getting legal, having an accountant to come and see the books of the people. I trust the chairman of the deacon board and the finance director, but I'm gonna have an accountant come in just to look behind us. So when people want to inspect our books, we can say we have double entry inspection and stuff like that, if you have it available. So people just don't realize that it's just so much involved in running, especially a startup church, even the ones that's already established. But I think also before, one thing I feel like is really important is people don't want to know stuff like that. People want to come to church, have a good time, and go home. They want to keep their head in the sand, and they don't want to see behind the curtain like on the Wizard of Oz and that, to know what's going on and everything. But the church is very viable, it's very vibrant, and it's vital. And I truly believe that God did a shaking up in 2020. All of us was coming out of 2019 talking about we got 2020 vision for our church and all this stuff. We ain't see COVID. We didn't see that coming at all. And now I feel like God is showing most ministries who your core are if you didn't know who they were. Right. Like we know now.
Yeah, I think church will never be the exact same, I don't think, anymore, based on what we experienced the last, almost 2 years. It'll never be the same. And like even with Bible study and things of that nature, actually our attendance increased with Bible study because people have to leave their home to go. We're doing it online or whatever, so people don't have to leave. Even with Sunday school attendance increased because people had to get up as early on Sunday morning. And so I think it's going to be different once everybody get back in and start doing their usual or their so-called normal. It's going to be different. And we have had been doing online service since it started. We've done a few outdoor services, but we hadn't gone back into the actual building yet. And so we were looking at doing that in August, and then the Delta variant began to rise again. So we decided not to go back in August. We've done, like I said, outdoor services. So we probably will be looking at going back in November, sometime in November. We're looking at, because the numbers seem like they're trending down now. So we'll probably start back up in November. But those outdoor services that we've had, it was just so good to see people face to face, to see their eyes, and we were spread out outside. So, everybody didn't have their mask on. Just to see people smile again, man. It was just so different. And people are really wanting to get back into church. But like you stated before, you see your core. You see your core now.
We know the contenders from the contenders. Yeah.
And those that are continuing to give. Some people don't give unless they're in person. They may give you $5 when the plate passes around. But when it comes to having a commitment to continue to support your ministry and send it through Zelle or send it through PayPal or send it through those means, or are you still supporting your ministry? And some are not. It's just the bottom line. Some are not, because they're not in person.
Some of the pastors now, they feel like the old insurance salesmen we used to have back in the day. You go and make your visit to your family members, make your visit to your church member. And not that you go and collect money, but every now and then there are someone who's like, "Oh, Pastor, let me give you this right here," and shake your hand with a $100 bill in or something like that. I ain't had a chance to give to the church, so let me give you something. And it's amazing, just like going and visit people, they feel, not that we want them to feel guilty, but they feel like they know they hadn't given like they normally have, and not knowing what they've done with the money, but they'll give you something just because they see you, and they didn't see you in church, but you're there at their house or at their job or having lunch with them and things like that. But by us we've never owned a building, we've always been leasing space. So it kind of hit us kind of harder now that we don't say, when it do open back up, we got to try to find a place to lease. And right now, my whole thing is, no, we don't. And I said, we don't need to find a place to lease. I said, we are small enough and mobile enough, we can go anywhere. And I really enjoyed the outdoor worship. And in Atlanta, it's not too cold where you can't have an outdoor worship. I said, even if push comes to shove, if it's cool enough, we can go to a big parking lot somewhere and get our cars out there, and everybody tune in their cars and have church in the church parking lot, in the parking lot, not necessarily the church, but there's just so much we can do. But we've been very successful online for us with our Zoom. Teachers have been so good at setting us up with high quality lighting, and we got good sound equipment. Man, what's the Guitar Center became our best friend for a while.
Right,
So we went and got different type of equipment and sound and stuff like that. Now, one thing I do miss, I miss baptisms. I miss hugging people. I've done 2 weddings, but and I've done funerals, but I miss the baptisms. I miss hugging people. Right. I miss getting new people to be a part of fellowship, things like that, we miss. And when they do end, because we talked about going more back into in-person outdoors and stuff like that, but that variant, like you said, once it came up, we're like, okay, we're going to just stay online and we're going to do what we're doing. And we feel secure in our faith enough to know that God is going to bless all these ministries through this as well.
Yeah, because we when we thought about going back in, our sanctuary is it's not large enough for the whole congregation to come in, because we'd be too close together. It seats about 175, 150, 175, something like that. So I would hate to have to say, okay, we're going to start back up, but only these people can come, or only sign up to come to church. I just don't feel comfortable doing that, because somebody that may need to come may not be able to get that list signed. You may sign up by Thursday, then somebody have a issue or tragedy or something in life, they want to come to the service and they can't come because your name not on the list. Things like that. So I don't really want to start and say that you can come, you can't come, that kind of thing. I would like for it to be once we start back up, all those that would like to can come on in. And of course, we have different things in place. We already have a strategy in place, with protocol in place and precautions in place. We've already come up with that type of thing. But I would not want to come in that closed-in space and for someone to end up getting sick. And so that's what we're just trying to wait. We're waiting it out, letting God go ahead and give us the right timing for us. It may be different for somebody else, but for us, speak to us, for us to be able to start when he says to start. But ministry still continue. I tell people all the time, ministry still is continuing. We still have people that are in need, that come into the church for help, We still partner with. We have a couple of schools that we partner with. Partners in education. We partner with them, and we still doing things on an ongoing basis with those schools. As a matter of fact, last week we received some test kits, the COVID test kits, at-home test kits, and we gave over 1,200 test kits to one of our schools, Gillette Elementary School, for them to distribute to their employees and also to their students at the school. And that was done through the Fulton County Department of Health, where they're trying to minimize the numbers. So ministry is still continuing. And so when people say just because of COVID, we can't do anything, every ministry can still do something. It may not be as big or grandiose as you once did, but you can find something to do in order to serve those communities that people are in.
That's true. That 2-hour worship experience on Sunday morning, that's only 2 hours out of the whole rest of the hours in the week that people need ministry shared with them. And like you said, just go out and continue to do what you normally do. You don't have to all come together in the fellowship hall or the sanctuary to plan it. That's what the Zoom chat room is for. That's what those other chat rooms. We go plan it, we go meet, and this is how we go disperse, and we go meet at whatever place. People still downtown on the corners, waiting on churches to come by there. People still in neighborhoods. So y'all have a lot of great ministries going on at your church, and it's no surprise my favorite ministry of y'all is y'all praise team and y'all music and worship ministry. Tisa, I gotta quit talking about Tisa, because we keep on, so she always said, boys, Darrell better be glad he's our brother, because we'll take Sherman and put him in our basement and lock him and keep him down there, give him food and water throughout the week, and come up on Sunday and play and everything. Y'all worship ministry just really uplifting. It's pure. You just feel it, and it's the people that make up the ministry. A lot of times, like you said, you don't know the difference between gospel and R&B when you hear certain gospel songs. We can't never say that about y'all music ministry. We still play y'all music ministry tapes and stuff. We're not, so I guess it's MP3s now, but we'll just feel this too, because it's just so anointed. And that's what a lot of people are failing to realize now. It's not about showtime worship. It's about genuine, true worship. And you all have a dynamic worship experience, and it just really blesses so many people more than you probably imagine.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned about showtime, man. I went to one church one time, man. They had the lights, just going around like you did a disco or something, like you at a club. The lights are gone, and there's a dancing that's going on. I'm not saying that's wrong, but for me, it was just a little too much, But we do have a great music ministry, and the thing about it, I think what makes it so special or so anointed is these guys have been playing together for years. Yeah. Out of our years of being in existence, we started in 07, 97. From 97 to now, like I said, Brother Sherman, I think he's been with us probably the majority of that time. I think he came on like in 98, maybe 99, but the majority of the time he has been there. And Jason was in like the 6th grade when he started playing drums with us. And then we have Wallace Barner, who's our bass player. He's the band director at Washington High School now. But he's been playing. They've been playing together for so long. And then Jason, just took it upon himself. He, went off to college and came back and learned how to play the organ. So now he's playing the organ. And Sherman's on keyboard, the bass player, and then we have a percussionist, Sheldon, and then also my nephew who just went off to college this past year, Joshua, went off to college, but they've been playing together so long, they feed off one another. Sherman said, take it up. It just all in it flows, and it's all in God's timing. They've been singing together for a long time. Yeah. And I'm truly blessed to have them there. The thing about it, how musicians, we know musicians. Yeah. We're musicians also, so we know musicians. Mm-hmm. Musicians can hurt your church, or they can benefit your church. And I thank God that I always have benefited the church in all the years that they have been there. And they're not, they should be getting paid very top dollar. Yeah. Because they have the anointing, They have the music education also, the years of experience, and they always say it's not about the money. Yeah. It's not about the money. So the little stipend that we're giving them is all, just to the glory of God, because
and see,
it's not about the money to them.
People really need to understand the whole thing about who we are as people, and those of us who profess to be Christian, what it's like to be Christian, what it's like to be a part of the Christian ministry and the fellowship and things like that, and still be dad, G-pop, aunt, nephew, cousin, all this stuff. We just have so many roles that we have, neighbors and stuff like that. I just really think it's fascinating that God would allow us opportunity to be able to do the things we do, and still trust that when it's all said and done, we have an eternal place to go to. A lot of people can't see that far ahead of time. And just because you can't see it don't mean it don't exist. And just because you don't understand it don't mean it don't exist. It's really important that we try to get it, try to make sure we get it, be around certain people. One thing I missed, and we're going to do it real, man, what's today, Wednesday? Man, hopefully before the week out, since you're out, man, we got to get those wings in, man.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah.
Realize that, we like the fellowship outside of church. We like to be the boys sometime, and we can go somewhere, and people don't say they're just two old guys to everybody else, but to us, and to people who know us, we know who we are and everything. And just go out and have some good fun and sit around and just enjoy each other and talk about anything up on the earth, and like, that was neat. That was my pastoral retreat.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You had to have those times just to get away from it all. Just take your hat off, kick your shoes off, and just kick back. You got to have those times, because like the ministry is difficult. It's burdensome, but it's rewarding. So you just have to make sure that you just relax every now and then, because if we don't, we'll become burnt out.
That's true.
Statistics shows that there are several ministers that quit their profession as being pastor. They quit it because of all of the hard work that's involved, the stress that's involved. But I tell you, I'll like you said, I take the phone off the hook, and I had to learn that.
Yeah,
I had to learn. I had to take the phone off the hook, or like so if I go on vacation or something, call the church secretary. They'll let you know, if it's appropriate for her to, let me know or whatever. But you got to get away from it sometimes, because if not, you'll be 24/7, on the phone trying to help somebody make a decision that they want you to make.
I said, I don't respond before 9 a.m. and I don't respond after 9 p.m. Anything happen between those hours, it's not too much I could do anyway. If you're in the hospital, they ain't gonna let me come and visit before 9 o'clock. And they're gonna put me out after 9 p.m. So, I'm like, what can I do between those hours? And plus, those are private family hours. So I try to respect the family. And that leads to what I was gonna ask you. What was it like for your family when you had to announce to them that God had called you into ministry? What was your response from your family?
That was it wasn't as hard, because they kind of knew something was changing. They knew something was a little different. And I think when I first announced that I was going into ministry back in '87, Sharon and I, we were married in '83, and we had two small kids at the time. And so when I first, the kids weren't born in '87. The kids weren't born, but Sharon and I were together. And we were in a good place. And I said, I'm feeling God's calling me to ministry. Like, what? So we had to have some conversation about that, of what that would look like, for her. And so we got through that part. And then when I felt God was calling me to go ahead and start pastoring, there was another conversation. Because, traditionally, what people think of a first lady, they call would be, and she said, well, I'm not a first lady, because that's not even biblical. I'm not a first lady. I'm the pastor's wife, And so we talked about that, because she said, well, am I going to have to wear those church hats? I said, no. Am I going to have to be at every service that they go on? No. Am I going to have to go to every funeral or visit every hospital visit? No. You don't have to do none of that. All I'm asking you to do is be Sharon. All I'm asking you to do is just be my wife. Yeah. Many things, the majority of the things that are church related, I don't even bring to her. Yeah. Because she don't need to be bothered with that. God called me to be pastor. So it's not even something that she has to consider. I do bounce some things off of her, even with counseling people. When people tell me this is in confidence, don't share with anybody, I don't even share it with her, and she respects that as me being the pastor, and she trusts that, and so she don't even expect me to bring those things to her attention, and I purposely, honestly, don't do so, because that's an act of confidence that somebody shared with me and told me not to share, so I'm not going to betray that trust. And she also understands this from a counselor's perspective, because she's a counselor, and so she understands that confidentiality part. And so she was okay with, once we had the conversation, and she knew that, none of those things had to take place. And then once I started pastoring and she saw that I didn't flip and say, okay, you need to go here with me, I still remain the same. And it's still that way today. I have a speaking engagement in a couple of weeks. She said, because of COVID, she said, am I expected to go? Do I need to go? I said, no, you don't have to go. So we have that understanding. My kids at the time, when they were real young, we first started out, with the church in 97, they were real young. And I remember one of them, I can't remember which one it was, but we were at the barbershop, and he turned around, my daddy got a church. It's all of a sudden. He said, what? You have a church? I said, yeah, we just started a ministry. So they were, when they were young, they were excited about going over to set up, for church. And then now set up. Then after like that first year or so that we were in ministry over there, they started getting tired of going over there setting up. So I had to start bribing them, okay, go with me, we go to McDonald's afterward, those kind of things. But they really didn't have a big issue with it, especially when my kids got even older. I still allowed them to be children. I still allowed them to go to events. I still allowed them to go to the little parties. I still allowed them to be a child, because if not, in my mind, if I got this tight rein on them now, when they get up to be 18 or get to be a little older, they can be buck wild, So I still allowed them to do those things that normal children did. Yes, I encouraged them to go to church. When they were younger, they had to go to church with us. But once they got older, I started making that demand of every Sunday you had to be there. Every Sunday you got to go to this, to that. So I kind of took that off of them. But they still were very supportive, in everything that we had to do. So my immediate family was also right there. At the time, they were still a member of another church, and I always felt that I would not demand my family to be a part of my ministry. Like my mom and my sisters and brothers, I always wanted them to make that choice for themselves. So they always supported me, and everything we had was supported me, but they were still a member of their church and active in their own church. So I allowed that. And then when time saw fit, when God allowed the transition to happen, all of them came over to be a part of Love Fellowship. My mom, my sisters, brother, all of them, and all of them are actively involved now. So that's a beautiful thing. And I think by happening that way, it happened the right way.
Yeah. And that's the way it is. We can't demand nothing from people. Right. God placed us in the positions for specific people. So when you think about the whole process of the dynamics of the church and the responsibility of the family and stuff, you're right. God called us. He didn't call everybody to come to be the pastors and ministers of the gospel. And like you, there are a lot of conversations that I have that I don't share with my family and my wife. It's not that fact that, you're right. Because she'll say, people use you like a garbage can. They just dump all the trash on you, don't they? I said, yeah, but I know how to get rid of it. Trash man run every Tuesday. I dump mine on Tuesday. So, internally, I dump the trash out. I said, I don't keep that stuff. I let people share it to me. And yeah, you can dump it on me, but I know what to do with it. I'm not going to internalize it. I'm not going to make it all personal. I'm going to process it and move it on out and everything. So, but there are certain things I will run by certain people and stuff. And there are certain things I've actually run by you. It's like, that's what God did. He put us in places to handle certain things. So, I just really think it's a great thing. I know it's, so I'm not gonna hold you too long because I know time is important. Just a few other questions and then we can go and get out of here. You watch any Denzel Washington movies?
Yes.
So I'm a huge Denzel Washington fan, so I'd like to know what people consider their top Denzel Washington movies. Do you have like 3 or 5 of them you could say, man, these are my best Denzel Washington movies?
Ooh, man, he done had so many movies. I like John Q.
Uh-huh.
You know,
that thing that caused my allergy to flare up every time I watch that movie.
But I like John Q. That was a good one. Remember the Titans?
Yeah.
Was another one that I like. Of course, Training Day. You know, Training Day is an old classic that people always like. He was a bad boy, but I like Training Day. What's another? What's another movie?
I think what's the one? Running Out of Time. Quit Locking It.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so many movies. Malcolm X.
Gangster.
Yeah, Malcolm X.
Yeah, No Better Blues.
I mean, he got to have a whole. He got so many movies out, man. It's I've lost track of them.
And we actually do Denzel Washington movie-thons and stuff sometimes.
Oh, really?
It's not too much I look at on TV, and if it's not like a football game, something, I don't really look at a whole lot of TV. So I was like, man, let me put in Denzel Washington movie. There's just certain actors I look at their stuff, but I just don't sit there and watch a lot of TV for the most part because it has gotten to a point now that I don't connect with it. So, it's like...
This is the same way here. I don't do a whole lot of TV watching. I may watch the news, what's going on with the news, and maybe one or two shows that we see periodically, but for just sitting down doing a whole lot of TV watching, because the thing they put on TV now, it just, well, we know how that is. Yeah. But some of it's too unbearable to even watch sometimes. It turns.
I said they need to revise their rating systems. You know how they have like mature audience and stuff like that? They need to add a couple more categories. I'll just give it that. They need to add a couple more categories. Because you'll watch a show and then all of a sudden you see a certain scene pop up like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't think this was going to be in here. And so they need to add some more categories to their movie watching. We can't normalize everything on TV. Right. So, just add a couple more categories.
Everything is acceptable now. Yeah.
So tell everybody, give everybody a couple of, I guess, words of inspiration, and then we'll get out. Everybody has gone through the COVID process now, gone through the loss of certain things that they've lost. Some people did to come up and had some wins. So what would you say to motivate those who need motivating and those who just need a little extra encouragement who's already motivated?
I would just say maybe just continue to trust God in the whole process, because the word lets us know that, he would not leave us, nor will he forsake us. And know that in all things, it is saying something, but in all things, he's going to work it together, work it out for our good. And so it may not be the way that we think it's going to be. It may not be what we envision it to be, but he is going to work everything out according to his plan in our lives. So we just have to turn our will over to his will and don't believe what they say. Because we don't know who they is. No, what do they say? Who is they? Somebody always say, you know what they say? They say, who is they? Go get them. I know. Who is they? Don't believe what they say, but do believe what God says. And we believe what the word of God says, what God says, in spite of what it looked like. We believe what God says, and that'll take that stress off of us. We won't have to worry about trying to figure it out ourselves or work it out in our own way, in our own might. Yes, I do know faith without works is dead. So we do have to do something, but we have to be led by God in order to do those things. So just trust God. That's the main thing. Even with COVID, God allowed this to happen for a particular reason, and we need to make sure that we realize what that reason is for us in our lives. This didn't catch God by surprise. He said, oh, there goes a virus. No, he knew exactly what he allowed to happen, and he allowed it to happen to make us a better person, especially a better Christian. And so that's my suggestion. That's trust God.
Well, there you heard it, Pastor. Trust God. Trust God. Trust God. Thank you so much, my brother, my friend, my pastor, the Reverend Darrell, Shakan Thomas, Passion for Purpose, up close and personal, today's guest. Are you gonna make homecoming?
Yes, I'll be right there.
Okay, I saw the Morris Brown show. That's what made me think to ask again.
Oh, yeah.
Charles Reed is having something. If you able, I'll send you the information. Skip put it out there. He sent it to us on Facebook. So I'll send you that information. And I'll be there next weekend, and I'll be at Carver Homecoming Friday. So I've got 2 homecomings back to back this weekend.
Look, I know a lot of time on podcasts. How can people reach you? How can they reach you on social media?
Yeah,
Darrell Lee Jones is my social media.
That's right. I'm a social media manager. So if you need to get in touch with him, get in touch with me. I like that.
Yes.
We're gonna make that public from now on. I'm a social media manager. Get in touch.
Oh yeah, he's about social media. He's my contact.
Well, brother, I'll holler at you a little later.
Yes,
Tell Sharon and the boys I said hey, and we'll see you next weekend.
We'll do it. Tell Tisa and the family say hello. Love you guys.
I love you too. Talk to you later.
Brother.
Peace.
All right, take care, man.
All right.
Bye-bye.